What's up, Chrono Crossers? It's Ty,
It's Bill.
Jack.
and welcome back to the Jrpg Book Club podcast. As you could probably guess from my little joke at the beginning, we played Chrono Cross this month, and we all have a lot of feelings about it. But but welcome back to the podcast. Happy to be back for the second episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
After
buddy.
the little bit of a break we had.
Yeah.
Trying
But
to catch up.
yeah, but we have this coming out, and then hopefully we have a bit more coming
Real soon.
soon.
Real soon.
But let's just jump into it.
Yeah. So, Chrono Cross. What, in my opinion, mess.
Yeah, it was.
A hot mess.
It was a lot. It really was a lot.
Did I think it was
Yeah.
bad? No. But
Yeah.
it was very messy, and I didn't feel like it was very full.
Yeah.
Like, not full, but like, it didn't drive a point home.
Yeah,
And like, the point it did drive at the very end of the game was like,
too much.
it didn't make sense. It didn't
Yeah.
relate to the rest of the game.
Yeah,
It was a very good try at something a bit too ambitious for this team.
I think it's a good word for it, because it was very
Yeah.
ambitious.
yeah,
There's a lot of, like, in my opinion, like, revolutionary to the genre elements to it. Like, we've all mentioned the combat system and the music, because it's immaculate, it's beautiful, it's for the music, the combat system is very clean, it's very unique.
Yeah.
It did something that, we haven't seen in that regard before, and it's really cool.
yeah. But the story itself was kind of the low point. But we'll get into that.
Yeah,
So
there's time.
Yeah.
As we
So
say.
yeah. So we all played through Chrono Cross. We all finished it up. We all played it on our consoles, our emulators, etc., etc. We all own a copy of it.
I own a copy of it.
I have it
Yeah.
on Vita, so...
Yeah, I have a copy of it.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yeah. And so we finished through, I think all of our playthroughs were around the 25, 30 hour range.
Mine was about, I think, like 26, 27, I think, by the end of it. I think it was
Yeah.
26.
Just about that.
Yeah.
You said yours was like 30, 35, right? Tom?
Yeah, mine was a bit of a longer one.
Yeah, which is funny because you took a shorter route, it seemed
Yeah,
like.
yeah. But yeah, let's kind of just go into it. So we should probably start with the story and then move on to how
What
I
a
did the game.
quote-unquote story.
Yeah.
Big
So
oof.
how I jokingly described it earlier, well, mind you, from now on, spoilers. We're going to be talking about the story of the game.
Just assume that with
but-
every episode.
Yeah, but the thing about the story in this one is we could basically explain you the whole story. You'll play through the game and you won't see any of it.
Because it's not
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah, it's all over the place. But as I jokingly said earlier, it's like that episode of Futurama
Yeah.
where they go into a universe where there's just coin flip differences, where that's
Literally
the only
difference
difference.
of choice
Yeah,
is a coin flip. So it's the same, but it's very different.
yeah, and
Because of those choices.
yeah. So basically, the basis of the story is the main character Surge kind of goes between another world and his home world, which are two different timelines where
Yeah,
he
well-
died in one.
Yeah, basically the difference between the two is the timeline that was created, Surge dies in one and he survives in another.
Yeah,
And from there it's got weird before it because like there's the links to Chrono Trigger from like there's the 10,000 year 11,000 year
Yeah.
timeline
yeah,
of like cool this happened but then the time reverted and then this thing and then this thing. It's like
Yeah.
they don't explain that part very well. I'm looking into it. It feels like you're doing long division
yeah,
because it's just like cool why
Yeah.
and made up words are in there.
yeah.
Well,
But-
it felt to me like they had to keep bringing up timeline or different years and different time because in Chrono Trigger, there's specific moments
It's
in
important.
time.
Yeah.
There's 1999. There's like 2,400.
Mhm.
There's like 60 million BC. But you specifically jump to those times and explore in those times.
Yeah.
In Chrono Cross, you don't jump through time. You're just jumping through parallel dimensions. So it's not even about time anymore.
Yeah.
Even though it's this big background overarching theme.
Yeah, and despite the fact that Chrono was in the name of the game,
Yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, instead of the time travel, they went with parallel universes, which in the sense, 'cause
yeah,
it's the multiverse in an extent. It's the failed timelines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It got weird.
yeah. Weird is a very good word for it. Like it's
Yeah.
because the game starts
As
off
much
like
as I'd like to explain like multiverse theory and
Yeah.
things like that, it didn't. So
yeah, it didn't
it
at
just
all.
leaves you confused.
Yeah, the story was confusing, and the weird thing is we were talking about this before we started recording. Like the story was good enough for a while. Like it was kind of this simple kind of
Yeah.
you got an idea
It
of
was
it
a
as
nice,
you played
like,
through.
entry little sci-fi fantasy thing.
Yeah.
That, like, had weird elements. It was cool, it was quirky.
Yeah.
I think because it went well. And then they just, like, quick nosedive into other stuff. And I said it earlier, I think there's 3 main elements to this game. To this game.
Yeah.
There's the stuff that ties into Chrono Trigger. There's the, like, initial plot line that is, like, the cute, quirky, like, little game it is.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool. And probably my favorite part about it. And then you have the, like, kind of extra stuff.
Yeah.
I think the extra stuff eats away so much on what the other stuff is.
Yeah.
That it just kind of makes it hard to deal with. Because, like, cool. You have, what is it, 40-something characters that all need some sort of representation in the game.
Yeah.
And they just don't get dealt with well. And some of it's very specific instances that's very missable.
Yeah.
Like, you'll miss out very important plot line about certain characters, things like that, if they're just not in your party or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there's the choice factor to it, where it's like, cool, if you didn't go X route, you don't get this set of characters, but you get this set of characters. And like, I think there's like 3 or 4 of those ones that have major deviations, where it's like, cool, you let one guy join, that means you don't get this whole suite of characters, but you get this other suite of characters.
Yeah.
That happens, I think, 2 or 3 times, right?
And we'll get into that right now.
Outside the really obvious stuff.
Because something that you guys did, so once, obviously we're in spoilers, like obviously we're talking about spoilers, but there's a bit where you meet this initial character, Kid, who talks to your main character. Your main character's basically getting hunted down in this alternate world. And you're given the option to save her or let her die, basically.
Well, you gotta go before that.
Oh yeah, even before that, you get to choose whether or not you want to join
come
her.
with her or not.
Yeah, and I did kind of the opposite of your guys' decisions.
Yes.
Because both of you guys opted to go with her, correct?
Yeah. So
there's a lot of different points in the story where the route changes based on your decisions. That's like the second big choice, but the first big choice is in the beginning about who you choose to help you infiltrate the mansion.
Yeah.
And that can lead to you missing different characters as well.
Yeah.
Well,
like I said, there's like 3 or 4 points, but the first point is the joining with Kid.
Yeah.
That's the lead to into all of that is that. And I think it's a weird choice that they did it that way personally. For the fact of like how instrumental Kid is to the story. And like you were explaining like how, okay, if you go the route of don't join with Kid and don't save Kid, you have very little connection to the character whatsoever.
Yeah.
And for how important the character is, like if you read into all the side stuff and all the extra like bits, it's very important.
Yeah.
And the fact that you just don't have it, like you don't have any of that, and none of it's told to you until like giant exposition dumps into the end of the game.
Yeah.
Is kind of lame.
Yeah. Like something else that I thought was weird is how fast. Like, so obviously with a game with 40 characters, you can miss a couple. Like, there are characters that you can get at any point, but you could just kind of miss them. But one that really struck me is if you decide to go with Kid, you automatically lose out on a character. You immediately can't get Lena.
Oh, yeah.
Like, right off the bat.
This is a very important
And
because in the very beginning of the game, before you could even start the main story, you are sent into a dungeon as the main character and Lena and Kid. So, like, you already...
Wait a second. Kid? Yours was Lena and Kid?
I believe so.
Because mine was the masked wrestler guy, whose name I completely forgot, and
really?
Kid.
That's interesting.
Oh, the initial dungeon?
Yeah, was
From
it?
the very beginning.
Yours was Lena and Kid?
Yeah.
Mine was... That's weird, because mine was the masked wrestler guy.
Greco?
Yeah.
Huh. That's why I was so upset that I missed her.
I have no idea.
What?
Maybe that's like randomly generated or something.
That seems weird, though.
I was technically... I think I was...
Because technically, when you get to the actual bit of story that represents, you can have all of those characters. You can have Lena and Kid. You can do that.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some sort of trigger that references something else later in the game or something, depending on what you get generated.
Weird.
But what was so frustrating was that Lena, you find out right after that scene that Lena is this love interest that Serge has at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh great, this is gonna be interesting. I'll have this character throughout the entire journey, and we'll see their love blossom.
That's where the story ends.
Yeah.
And then if you accept Kid, to join Kid at the beginning, initially, at the very beginning, you lose out on getting Lena, and she just never will join you ever again.
Yeah, I think there's a way to get. I think there's a way to get partial if you don't get Lena.
Yes.
The dog.
But you have to do it with a certain time frame, because I missed it completely.
You have to do that really early.
Yeah.
And
well, you have to do it early, and then you have a time frame where you can get it later.
Yeah.
that's like post, I think, Link stuff, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but it was frustrating for me because I was playing through, I get a half hour in, and I'm like, okay, we're having fun, and I'm like, I'm gonna check to see if I missed anyone, and I'll just go back and get them because I'm only half an hour into the game. And it's like, by the way, you already missed Lena, you missed Pashul, you have to make this decision to lose 2 other characters, and I was like, you're joking.
What?
You're kidding me. So as you guys know, I went back and restarted the game.
I was way too far in by the time I figured that out.
Oh yeah, me too. Because like we talked about, we all played it slightly differently. Tyler said he tried to get all of the characters he could possibly get in his specific way of run through.
Yeah, I didn't aim for a 100%, but I tried to do as much as I could.
Yeah. For me, it was very much I think I looked up like 2 things, but it was just like minor things. Got frustrated because they don't explain things very well in this game.
Yeah.
It's all the times they're like, hey, go do this thing. Sometimes it's blaringly obvious because, like, okay, that's clearly the next area.
Yeah.
But, like, sometimes it's like, cool. What?
Sometimes it's like, where do we go? Oh, you're supposed to
I don't
find
know,
this
we'll figure it
alien
out.
side character.
Yeah.
You're supposed to find this alien side character who has a ship that helps you get to the end of the game. It's like, how am I supposed to know to look for this guy, especially when he's a side character that you can completely miss?
Right. Yeah.
In an area that is not representative of his character. So, like, how am I supposed to know he's there?
Yeah, it's such a random place to
have
find
the character in your party for that time frame, and it's just weird.
And then even then, you could get him earlier, perchance. Like, it's...
I did.
In a way, it is cool, because it makes every playthrough very individual.
Yes.
But it also makes it really frustrating when you're just going through the game, because just knowing that you already missed out on, like, 5 things you could have gotten.
Which I'm fine with. I like to have... I'm a big fan of personal experience.
Yeah.
Where I don't need to have every single thing. I would like to, but I don't need to have every single thing, especially in the first playthrough of something.
Yeah.
Because I want the story to be unique to my experience with it. I like to see, hey, this is what happened to me. Which would be very different from the next episode, because I've played that game so many times. I'm like, got you.
Yeah.
But in this one, it was very much I don't know, I just didn't feel connected to the characters whatsoever, and the way they handled it was just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was my biggest gripe, is that you don't get connected to the characters at all. Because there's so many, they forget to keep them in the story. You get a one moment with them, some characters longer than others, where you get to know them and see that, you know, what they're about. You know, you get a little, you know, story with them, like a main quest or something with them. Yeah. And then they're just, you can either have them in your party or not. But they won't contribute any more to the plot.
And then you could potentially get the level 7 tech for every character. Well, that's a little bit more into gameplay. But
yeah, either way, so the story, it has multiple branching paths. Let's get back onto the story point.
Yeah. So basically, so I denied Kid.
Yeah.
Which the game...
We did not. We basically did opposite choices of Tyler.
Yeah. Which I thought was funny, because the game, like, tells you to go with Kid, basically. She keeps pestering you until you say...
character die?
It pesters it, and it feels... I don't know, it feels important. Like, it feels the natural route. Like, because the thing is, I try to go with my gut as much as possible, where I'm like, cool, this is the way the game wants us to play it.
Yeah.
Right? / this is the way I want to play it, because I want to get connected with these characters and stuff.
Yeah. And then the game borderline punishes you for playing it how it, like, kind of wants you to play it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or taking these options
so
away.
you just want to be that way.
Yeah.
All right, fine. So then, for our side of it, the paths go to, you know, you go up to Termina. Then you go over to Viper Manor.
Yeah, the first about hour of the game's basically the same, just with -1 character.
Yeah,
and
-1 to 2.
Yeah, and then you get Lena instead. Like, it's...
Yeah, it's a different route. But the baseline of the story up until Viper Manor is about the same. So you go up to Termina, you get one of 3 optional characters, or one of the 3 characters that you choose. It's Nikki, Guile, and some other person.
Character Pierre, Pierre's the name. None of us picked him.
Yeah, I went with Nikki, the rock star person.
Ditto.
Really, I just went with it. Like, I didn't choose it because I went to the Hydra Marshes, which I was not Hydra Marshes. That forest.
Yeah.
Right before the
Viper Manor.
Viper Manor, and just like, cool, Nikki's there.
Yeah, you just kind of run into him.
Yeah, and so I thought that was just like the way you go.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't like obviously I talked to everybody like once, but like I didn't think anything much of it. You know. I play it a lot when I'm like on my way to work. Yeah. So like, cool. I probably turned it off, didn't realize that there's something else, and then like went back into it, being like, all right, let's actually move ahead.
Yeah.
Because I always make a point to talk to everybody and stuff, but sometimes get missed.
Yeah, you went with Guile, right?
I went with Guile only because he was originally supposed to be Magus from Chrono Trigger.
Oh yeah.
That's the only reason why I went with him.
Yeah, because I picked Nikki because I knew my 3 options. But I was kind of, I'll admit, I was kind of referring to a guide through this game just to make sure, because I was so scared about missing more characters.
Right.
After that initial
I had
Lena
that
slip.
problem, and I did do a guide for a lot of it.
Yeah, but so I ended up picking Nikki because I just thought he looked cool, and I like the fact that you see all these like posters of him, and he's like, "Oh, he's the superstar."
I feel like of the 3 characters, he's the most ingrained into the world.
Yeah, honestly,
like, there's 2 or 3 like optional, albeit, but like the plot points with him are actually like fairly valid because it's a big spectacle thing, and it's kind of cool.
And he has a lot of relationships to other characters.
Other characters, exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel like it was like the natural pick to me.
Yeah.
After like looking back at it, I'm like, oh, cool. I'm glad I kind of went with that character.
Because I don't know how much Guile does in the story.
The only
he's kind of
the
there.
only connection Guile has to the world is that some fortune teller told him that he couldn't get into the mansion, so he wanted to prove her wrong.
Is that it?
Wow.
And so
for real?
So he joins you so you can get into the mansion.
Oh my god.
Well, everyone's, so many of the characters just have such a weak like connection to people, and it's like there's no like, there's not like, oh, I'm loyal to you because we had a conflict together, or there's something else. It's like, oh, you're going after the frozen flame thing. That's a treasure that's supposed to be like do whatever, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Exposition, blah blah.
I guess I'll come with you.
Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it changes depending on what character it is a little bit, but for the most part, it's like, oh, cool, let's go.
You fed me a mushroom and turned me into a mushroom man.
No.
I'm gonna join you forever.
Yeah, we'll get into fungi. We'll get into fungi later.
My dreams.
It's so scary. It's so weird looking.
No.
Yeah. So you go to Viper's Mansion, which is like the first big story point of the game, where you run into Lynx, who's this evil beast man.
I think that's where the story really like takes off. Like there's a little bit in the beginning, and then there's this.
Yeah.
Like so that's your next big bullet point that really dictates a lot of the next bit of the game.
Yeah. We're just gonna kind of summarize up everything that happens. Like, we're going to skip a lot of things. We're going to skip a lot of details. But basically, you find out...
hours of...
Because honestly, what you do in the game is a lot of back and forth that really doesn't mean anything.
At all.
Yeah.
And a lot of points.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that you do that are like almost like hour side quests that just don't really mean anything to the rest of the story.
You go to the other world, get the item that you can't get in World B, so you can complete World B.
Yeah.
Because you have to go back to World A to get the item.
Yeah.
Like, and you just go back and go through it again, but with the item.
Yeah. So in Viper's Mansion, at the end of it, Lynx, the big baddie, poisons Kid. And that's the other big separation point between playthroughs, is you get the option to save Kid, or you get the option of just letting Kid die, basically. And...
Spoilers, she doesn't...
Yeah, that's the funny thing about it, is it's like built up as this huge decision. And once again, the game discourages you from letting Kid die, because the character is literally telling you that you're a piece of shit for doing it.
Because I already went with that one route. I'm like, hey, this character matters.
Yeah.
Like, clearly.
Yeah.
And so I went with the saving Kid route again.
Yeah.
And, that's another point of... there's, I think, another 3 characters you could potentially get with that route if you do that. Or 1 or 2. And then there's another one with Korcha.
Yeah.
The kid who drives the boat on this little island like platform thing that you're on during this point of the game. Yeah. And that is also like you could either take Korcha, which gets you 2 other characters, or you could not get him and get like 2 or 3 other characters.
Yeah.
And that's like a super minor thing that you don't even think about.
Yeah. Because for me, so you guys did the save Kid route.
Yep.
I went the opposite way. I decided to just let Kid die.
You're a monster.
Yeah, obviously. She was just so annoying. But you get...
because she talks so much.
Yeah, and
has that great accent.
Yeah. And then you mentioned Korcha. Like, I ended up getting Glenn, who in his own way, like, really affects the stories. Yeah. And, like, I'll get into it. Once again, I have a spoiler for you guys, but I still haven't told you guys. And I kind of want to get your reaction on it. Mm. But it's weird, because you guys go through an entire quest in the Hydro Marshes.
Yep.
Where you find an antidote, basically. Or you find hydro poison, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't actually know what happens. I assume you fight...
You fight a Hydra and get a gland.
That's where you really start traveling between the 2 points, too. Because she gives you the astral amulet, which lets you travel to the other world.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I actually have to wait on the astral amulet. I had to do
you had to wait a little bit, But, again, it cuts out a whole dungeon thing.
Yeah, you guys have literally an entire other thing to do in the Hydro Marshes, and then I just go back to it later to fly to Guy's Navel, I think it is.
Yeah.
But... So there's the thing with Viper's Mansion. I decided to let Kid die. I got Glenn, who is a Dragoon. The Dragoons are like basically this elite.
I wish they didn't have the same name as Dragoons from Final Fantasy.
Honestly,
it bugged me.
It was annoying
because I love Dragoons in Final Fantasy.
and it
Unless
eventually
they're not jumping.
yeah, and it eventually leads into this
Square Enix, what are you
middle
doing?
point of the game, which is funny because I thought that's when you'd switch over to the second disc, and I was very wrong. Where
That second disc was a joke.
it's the big plot twist where you go into this castle, or you go into Fort Draconia, and you confront the big baddie one more time. You beat him, and then he's like, actually, though, we're swapping bodies. Freaky Friday. And you become Lynx, the villain,
Yeah.
What?
and he takes over your body, and you're like, why are you doing this? But then you're the villain all of a sudden, and everybody's trying to kill you, and you're Lynx, and you're the big
Kind
baddie.
of, not really.
Yeah.
They're very passive about Link.
Yeah.
I felt like.
You run into a bunch of characters that's like, I hate you,
Well,
but I'm gonna, like...
Well, the thing is,
whatever.
by the time you wake up, Lynx has already taken over as Surge.
Yeah.
And, like, is doing bad shit.
yeah,
You find later out that Lynx isn't really Lynx, it's a whole nother thing.
yeah,
But, yeah, he's just bad Surge now.
yeah.
And by the time you wake up, they're like, oh, we hate you because you're a demi-human, but they don't actually, like, mention anything else, really.
Yeah.
Because everyone's racist.
Yeah. Also, I have to bring up really quick about how evil Surge is just Surge with like a skull and crossbones
yeah.
on his bandana,
So-
and he's just like has his
dark.
hair
He's
down.
wearing dark colors.
Yeah, it's so funny to watch.
That's
It's just like
when I saw that, I'm like,
yeah.
really?
It's like you destroyed my fashion sense. Like that's all you did, really.
What fashion sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It wasn't good to begin with.
Yeah. It was very JRPG
In fact, it helped a
protagonist.
little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even people would see you and they'd be like, "Oh, it's like Surge, but he's a different Surge now."
Yeah.
No, he's just got a skull
Yeah.
and crossbones on his head.
Something else that was dumb is that there's characters who are like, I know you're still Surge. It's like, how? They're like, oh, I can feel it. It's
There's
like,
like two characters that actually has reason behind it.
yeah.
But
But
I'm like, cool, I guess I'm joining.
Mystics.
yeah, but mostly it's dumb. So that's the main part. So you play as Lynx, and I remember when I started playing as Lynx, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a fun little side thing. I'm gonna do this
Yeah,
for
no,
a while.
it's not just a
This is
side
amazing.
thing.
You're Lynx for like
The rest of the game
almost for
Yeah.
probably about 50% of the game.
Maybe a
Like,
little bit less, but
yeah.
or actually maybe.
Once you get your body
Yeah.
back, then it starts to get to the
It's just endgame.
Yeah.
endgame stuff. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But
Because you have.
yeah. But a big thing about it, so we've been mentioning all these characters you could recruit. We keep mentioning like your teams and
Just
stuff
don't
like
even
that.
don't even worry about them. None
Yeah,
of them matter.
but the funny thing
There's like
about
two
it,
of them that matter.
when you become Lynx, you go into this like kind of dream world where you meet two other characters, including Harley, my bae, and so you become Lynx, but you lose everyone who's already joined
Okay.
you. And if you're in either route, you have about 15 characters
Yeah,
following
At
you
least.
And
that are just gone now.
And you've
Yep.
you've gotten really attached to them. Like,
Yeah.
I was really attached to Guile.
Shut up.
Like
Nobody mattered.
Yeah.
No, they didn't matter, but like at least the small team you have.
Yeah,
is
they're
important
cool.
because
Like,
like
they're
these
your
are the guys
team or
that grew
whatever.
up and I
Yeah.
learned
Yeah.
the system.
Yeah, like I got
I understand that.
Yeah, like I got Pip, who I love to death. Pip is just this little like Pokemon looking little guy that evolves.
Yeah.
They evolve. It's very sweet, and I love it.
It's more like you like Pokemon.
Yeah, and I was like super
You're
attached
like, I
to this
wanna make this game
character.
better because
I'm like,
it's Pokemon now.
yeah, and I was like, this character is awesome. I love Pip. Like, I love my guys. I love like Glenn's really hype. I'm like, this is great. And then you switch to Lynx. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm using these characters. Can't wait to get Pip and Glenn back. I really can't wait for that. But
End of the game.
yeah, they keep teasing you with it too, because you meet these other characters that you used to recruit.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you run
you
into
run into
Nikki
the other team,
as
Yep.
Lynx, and you run into characters, but they're like, oh well, I don't really know you, so bye.
Yep.
And
You're like, but I'm me,
yeah, and
which is dumb.
I think that was like my first real big
Because some
complaint
people are
about
like,
the
I
game.
can feel that you're Surge. And
Yeah.
you're like, but I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
How do you know who I am if I don't know who you are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these other characters who do know who I am don't know who I am. It doesn't make sense.
But even then, like, if you go back to Termina, you can run into some of your old pals, and so like I ran into Guile. I was like, "Hey Guile, what's up?" And he's like, "Oh shoot, you're Lynx." And then he's like, "Oh wait a minute, you're not Lynx." And then you talk a bit, and he's like, "Oh, so that's what happened." Well, there's a lot that happened since you were gone, and like then he's like, "But I can't come with you." I was like, "What do you mean you can't come with me?"
Yeah.
What
He's like,
jackass?
You're
like,
you're totally capable of coming. He's like, "No, I just can't leave."
Yeah. Yeah. And
Oh,
it
whatever.
just
Man.
so you lose everybody.
Yeah.
And then you slowly build up like another army,
Yep.
basically. And all
then,
these
like,
characters
20
that you're
characters or
yeah,
whatever, and
that you're like keeping on the sidelines, and then you go through all this stuff with Lynx and you're just doing thing after thing. And then you go to this like mysterious part of the game that they keep alluding to called the Dead Sea, which is like
and you're like, okay, this is cool.
yeah, and it's no joke, like the coolest part of the game.
My favorite two parts is that and Chronopolis, because I just
Yeah.
think like like you said, you really love the way that the art design went there and stuff like that. I love the weird fallen futuristic city thing.
Yeah.
Whole allure of Chronopolis. And then the Dead Sea part's just neat.
Yeah, because the fact that you're just walking on water that's frozen in time is so cool to me, and the fact that you're going on a highway, it's so weird because the entire game is very old fantasy. It's very Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, probably closer to 4.
Well,
it's
the most technology
thing.
they have is there's a motorboat.
Yeah,
that's
neon signs.
Real
that's
minimal.
it.
Yeah.
It's
yeah. Not minimal in terms of what the technology is, but minimal in terms of how much you see of it and stuff.
Yeah.
You're still getting. Nothing's automated. It's all manual for the most part.
Yeah, and then you get to just this place that's literally frozen in time. Everything's frozen. It's basically frozen in the middle of an explosion, basically.
Yep.
And it's such an interesting place, and it really hit me. I don't know why. What about it just triggered me? But I was like, this is awesome. I was like, this is the best part of the game. I love it. And it gets really interesting with the story.
And that's when it picked up for me. When it hooked me, I was like, oh shoot. And for me, I've played Chrono Trigger 4 times, and this is where you start to see a lot of the connections with Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross.
No, I mean that's the first point where you're like, oh, this is actually connected.
Yeah.
Because before it's oh, time thing.
You come across some things that mention Levos, which is the main bad guy in Chrono Trigger.
Do you really get any of that exposition in before that Chronopolis stuff?
There's actually
in the Dead Sea you find stuff for it.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah,
in the Dead Sea, there's a tower you can go to, and if you go there, you can, and with a specific party member, you can activate, you can activate the computer, and it tells you.
Oh yeah, I did that. Yeah.
So,
but again, minimal.
Yeah,
minimal. But then when you get to the end, that's when you see, oh shoot, this is Leanne's bell from the original game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they connected a bunch.
And then all of a sudden you see these children, and you're like, oh, those character models look similar to other character models from Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
So,
and I know all of us have different experiences with Chrono Trigger. I know I played it forever ago.
Yeah.
And don't really remember anything of it. Tyler's played a little bit.
I
played as a more fresher memory than I do about it.
But mind you, I still played it 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was still a while for me
too. But not
too.
there. And then Jack's played it 4 times, you said?
Yeah.
About 4.5.
So you know it.
So we're going to rely on you for all the connections.
Connection bits.
Yeah.
Outside of the very long thing I just read.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So before we started recording, Bill literally just went through an entire synopsis of the story.
Well, the connection to Chrono Trigger of the story.
And the guy who wrote it even had to take breaks in the middle of it, saying this story gets. They're
out some exposition.
Shout out to Ghost from Tomorrow on Reddit from 2 years ago.
Okay, that's a sick ass name, though. I have to admit.
That is actually perfect for the storyline that they went over.
And so the Dead Sea is this awesome place where you see a lot of the connections to the old game, and then you just keep going on with the story after that, and it's still interesting because there is still that connection. You still have that kind of sci-fi element mixed in with this fantasy, and you keep going and keep going and keep going, and then it gets more complicated. And I feel like we could almost jump past almost all the stuff where you get your body back because it doesn't really matter that much.
No, it's more
it's just getting to the end
here are the
point.
keys you need in order to access the thing to get your body back.
That's a pretty good way to put it. You become Lynx. You need to go through these. I don't know if trials is the right word, but you gotta go through these things, get to your body again.
Yeah, these trials because you have to prove yourself to the dragons.
Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the dragons are weird.
Right. We have a theme of that. You gotta prove yourself to Bahamut.
Yeah.
And then so you prove yourself to that bullshit.
Yeah.
And then you get your body back, and then after that, it's cool. Let's just hop, skip, and jump to the end game.
Yeah, and
that's where it gets even more convoluted and more blood.
Because you go to Chronopolis, where it's another kind of futuristic setting. It's the second futuristic setting in the game.
Yeah.
And it's cool, and it's definitely very interesting, and you get a lot of.
I think the world there, right outside of it, right in there, is really cool.
Yeah, and it's another high point of the game where it's really weird, it's really interesting.
But it's a bunch of stuff coming together, kind of in a way.
Yeah.
Kind of.
And they have this big thing that kind of seems like the big baddie. It's a machine that controls fate, and it's called Fate, and you fight it, and it just feels like the end game, it felt like.
Yeah, when that came up and Lynx transformed into that, it was oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And then it's but no.
Yeah. And honestly, if the story ended there, great.
Okay.
It'd be awesome.
It'd be
and
okay.
then it really is like to the point where we do have to kind of like hop, skip, and a jump through the story, only because there's so much to explain that if we explain the entire story,
it doesn't make sense.
We'd be here for an hour, and it still doesn't make sense.
And we're 30 minutes in and have barely like touched on all of it.
Okay, so what it's doing is an exposition dump on time.
Yeah.
And how this game views time and how it goes through time.
Which is very different from Chrono Trigger.
And so that's one of the things where you can say all sorts of crazy jargon about time and make it sound
you just make
cool,
it words.
right? Just sound cohesive.
Yeah.
But that's what this game does. It's like
it's very much
time with this thing, time with levels, time with our machines.
I feel like this was when I have to explain like computer stuff to old people.
Yeah.
I will make up words.
Yeah.
And be like, oh yeah, your convoluter's broken. They're like, oh, thanks. You're real smart.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
You just need to turn it off and turn it back on.
Yeah, just turn it off, turn it back on, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like how they explain time in this.
Yeah.
Is like
really
they make up a word. This your time dash something is broken. Okay. Your time pants are broken and you can't get back.
My time pants.
Not the time pants.
Not the time pants.
We have to go on 5 side quests to get a leg of the time pants back.
Yeah. That's what it felt like to me.
So you literally fight a machine that controls the fate and like destinies of everybody in the world.
Sort of.
And then you win. And then all the dragons that you proved yourself to fuse together into a time-eating monster. Yeah. And then you fight the time-eating monster, and guess what? It's not the end of the game.
Yeah.
And you have to. Then this is where it really lost me, and this is my this is my number one complaint about the game, is that the story is really good. Or, in my opinion, it's really very good. Up until, like, literally the 90% way through the game.
See,
and then
was
it's just
passable up to a certain point for me, and then it was like, okay. We're off on the deep end over here.
Yeah. And so you fight all the dragons combined into a time eater. You beat them, then Devour, the time Devourer, yeah.
With our dragons combined.
Yeah. And then I don't even know how to describe the last bit. It's so weird.
It's called exposition dump.
So they basically tell you that Scala and Levos, who are
from the original,
have fused together and are locked in time.
Well,
essentially,
they're locked into a dimension where all the like bad timelines, like the timelines that got overwritten.
No, they're literally outside of time.
Well, that's what the thing is. That's what the outside of time thing is that they explained was. It's a dimension where those like timelines that died, basically, like that don't exist anymore, live. Like that's what that space is, which is outside of time. Kind of thing.
So they're outside of time, and
just even weird.
Levos is getting stronger and stronger, and over time he grows to get stronger and stronger to become a problem again. And Scala is keeping him in check, and so you have to go there with the Chrono Cross, which is an item that they just kind of shoehorned in.
Yeah,
it was in the original, but it wasn't like.
Oh, was it?
It's how you get Chrono back.
Yeah.
You literally bring him back from time, I guess.
I vaguely remember.
So they use that device to stop the time Devourer in this one. It's a very vague device.
You could either not use it, or you can use it. If you don't use it, you get the bad ending.
Did you guys get the bad ending?
I did.
Or
I absolutely got the bad ending.
Oh wait, what happened?
Because they didn't explain it. Yeah, I just fought it.
Yeah, they
didn't explain it.
You have to look up a guide on how to beat the last boss.
A while back. I'm like, I didn't even think about it.
So here's the thing.
Do you is it in your do you have to equip it to your element grid?
Yeah, yes. you have to equip it to surge. Yeah. Oh, okay, you ready for this bullshit?
Because I didn't. Because I didn't do this.
Literally, the only way I found out about this was because of the guide. Because they hint towards it twice, and that's it. And they don't tell you, hey, this is the order the elements go. They literally just have something shine these in a certain order, and then you have to do all of those elements in that order in the final fight, and then you have to cast Chrono Cross at the end of it. So you have to go yellow, if I remember correctly, yellow, green, red, blue, black, white.
And here's the thing: is that Levos doesn't care what element you're using.
Devour?
Yeah, time Devour. It's Levos.
Baby Levos.
It's baby Levos, but basically he doesn't care what element you're using. Levos. He's going to use his own element, so he could mess up your song anyway.
Dumb. Yeah. Though the weird thing that happened with mine is when I started going into it, he just never attacked me, and I was expecting it the entire time.
When you have a mechanic like that, that's probably why.
Yeah.
But I fought him and beat him without any of that, and I had the entire game. There's zero issues with combat.
So here's how you're supposed to learn this. When you're playing, once you get the Chrono Cross,
then which you're already done with most of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then the rest of the battles, when you use an element, a little element shows up in the corner and it makes a ping noise, like a ding.
Mm-hmm.
You might have noticed it, you might not have.
Yeah.
But it happens every single time, and
You're so lost.
So here's the thing: you're
What?
supposed to pay attention to the tone of the ping whenever you use an
I'm
element.
half deaf. That doesn't work.
And then when you're in the final fight, it plays a song, and you're supposed to do the notes to that song.
And
And that's how
enter
you
the
figure it
GIF
out.
with Lucille doing like crazy math.
Yeah.
Like she's
Yeah.
like,
The game never tells you, and that's how you're supposed to figure it out.
Yeah. The only other way to figure it out is when you leave Fort Draconia for the last time.
Yeah.
When you go through the elements, it lights them up in the order that you're supposed to do.
That's
them.
right. The tower does that. But
That's
Yeah.
like,
incredibly.
Oh yeah, no, yeah,
it
you're right.
doesn't-
That was
it
Terror
doesn't
Tower.
tell you that.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell you that this is what the elements mean.
See, that makes me even more mad.
Yeah. Okay, so
Because I'm not mad that I got
Yeah.
the bad ending for the fact of what it was, but I'm
Yeah.
even more mad that like the good ending was barred behind bullshit.
Yeah. So I have to ask because I didn't look into it at all. I meant to look
Yeah.
it up, but I never did. What's the bad ending?
I mean, it's very similar to I think the good one. I don't know what the good one was, but it's cool. This thing happened, exposition dump, and like enter the game kind of thing.
That's it.
Like you beat the thing, you get a little bit of like dialogue, not like crazy dialogue, but you get
Yeah.
a little bit of dialogue, and then it kind of goes into that. Like it was very minor.
Did you?
I remember again. I beat this 2 weeks,
Yeah.
2 weeks ago now, so I'm like trying to remember it.
Was there anything weird about the credits that you remember?
It was the same kind of thing with the like you have the pictures with
Mhm.
like it looks almost like it actually looks humanish, where like it looks like kid walking down like train tracks.
Okay, yeah, same thing in the good
It's the
ending.
same kind of
then.
thing.
Because that's what I thought. I thought that was going to be barred to the good ending.
Nope.
But so the good ending, from what I remember, is it's literally the princess waking up and she's like, "Thank you," and your character's like, "No big deal. Don't worry about it."
Yeah,
And
there's
then-
something in that vein. I think it was
Yeah.
just, maybe she didn't wake up or something. Like, you
Yeah.
just saw her and then it was like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm like, but at that point, it's like, who the fuck is this?
And then she's like, "Time is fixed.
You do-
Thank you." And then it goes to the credits. Then because I thought all the kid stuff would be, I thought all the like live action stuff would be locked to the good ending.
No.
But
It was dumb.
what's the point of getting the good ending then?
Probably isn't.
Like, is there anything I'm missing about the good ending? That's as much as I remember about it.
Yeah, no.
It was just really underwhelming.
This game was very underwhelming.
Wow.
Because it really did feel like they shoehorned in every Chrono Trigger reference.
In the last.
They didn't need to have Scala be attached to this creature. They
Yeah.
could have just had a creature of time.
Yeah,
Again,
and then
I
also,
feel like if they went a more unique, original route with story, like not just have it be its own thing outside
Yeah.
of Chrono Trigger, like they said that was in like interviews and stuff like that initially. Like, oh yeah, this isn't Chrono Trigger 2, this is Chrono Cross, it's different.
yeah,
I wish they would have fully kept to that, where it wasn't connected to Trigger,
yeah,
and just have like similar themes or something.
yeah,
I would have enjoyed that a lot more because like all this extra bullcrap
Yeah.
wasn't necessary, or it was just okay, different timeline thing.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that because a game with time travel should have multiple timeline things.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
And the worst part is at the end they even like shoehorn in like, oh yeah, Nick or Kid is Shala's clone.
Yeah.
And it's her kid clone, but the clone of her daughter is a different person, and it goes
And then,
on.
but
Mind
if
you-
and bullshit.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Mind you, this isn't like a cutscene that you go through. This isn't something that you go through. This is a character telling you, literally right before the final boss, just telling you.
And they're like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
But
and then
they all say like how Kid was like
Nope.
raised by Luca.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like that was the thing that I was like kind of mad at because like they shoehorn in you going back to Luca's house.
Yeah.
She runs an orphanage
super
now.
shoehorn.
yeah,
And then
and it's on fire.
it's on fire, and then
The whole
they're
explanation of
gone,
that
and
it
then
just doesn't.
Kid
Yeah, it
had
just
matter
doesn't-
either.
was traumatized because everyone died.
Yeah,
Sure.
But there's like
Which
you
makes
don't
sense,
even get
but,
to
like-
see Luca or Marl or
That's not
Chrono.
surprising, even though they're already in the game.
yeah,
You see them as
Children.
Kids.
holographic kids.
yeah,
And
Yeah, because they
That's it.
exist within the time
yeah.
bullshit.
And then they're the ones that explain everything to you
Again,
at the
I
end of the
like time
game.
travel.
Yeah.
But
I
it still
like
doesn't
time
make
travel
sense.
Mechanics, and this
Yeah.
was bad.
Yeah,
Because this isn't even about time travel anymore. But
Yeah.
like, and I like multi-world theory stuff. That stuff's
Yeah.
cool too. It's bad.
yeah.
it was-
So
I'd say let's move on from the story. 'Cause we're
Yeah,
about
I
40
think-
minutes into this.
yeah, but I feel like, but that's the thing is like
That's a
we
huge
we
chunk.
spent literally 35 minutes talking about this, and it still doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
Like, and there's so much that we missed.
Yeah,
we
there's
missed
a lot.
so much.
Because bad.
Like, that's why, honestly, listener, if you want to play Chrono Cross. We didn't spoil anything for you because it's so weird and so all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
See, here's the thing. Is
but
like,
none of the characters has depth to it.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's what I was going to talk about, is that it felt like it was trying to tell all these great stories, like the beginnings of them. Because, like, most of the characters you find, even the one that you hate, has a little bit backstory that actually fungi. Oh. Even though he has no reason to join you.
Yeah.
Just because he hates you because you gave him a mushroom and he turned into a mushroom man.
Yeah.
But he still has...
He's terrifying. Please go to Google and search fungi Chrono Cross and look for his character portrait.
Oh, it's terrifying.
It will unnerve you because it unnerves me every time I see it.
He's not even a good character.
No,
bad.
But if you go to the shopkeeper in Termina, you find out that his daughter runs a shop.
Yeah.
And she's very, upset that he's been gone, and she wants to see him.
Yeah.
If it wasn't terrifying.
And then if you go into the parallel world,
you
see that Fungi's there as a person, and he's dying. And he's on the bed dying, and Fungi has this crazy, like, mental freak out moment.
Oh my god.
And because he sees himself dying. And his daughter's all sad.
This backstory for a guy who turns into a mushroom.
Yeah. So, like, they have these tiny little stories with all these characters you get.
Yeah.
But, like, they didn't expand on that. They didn't incorporate them into the plot at all. It was just... Okay. I really liked the play that they threw on Nikki and Mickey.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. It just lasted for like 15 minutes.
Yes,
it did.
It was a cool scene.
It was really neat.
And then just went way too long.
And then you have to clear out all the enemies, and it's still taking too long.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we should just move on to gameplay at this point. Like, we've explained as much about the character, about the story, and then through gameplay we could kind of talk about the characters
itself is like fine. I liked it. I think it was a very well done system. So, like, the basis of the game is you're on, these different areas, and you go around exploring, and you have random battles and shit.
Yeah.
Pretty standard fare. But what makes it unique is the combat system itself, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I really, really enjoyed it. So you have, as you level up, you get more slots in a grid called the element grid, which will allow you to do spells.
Yeah.
It's kind of... It's not like the junction system like Final Fantasy VIII, but it kind of is.
Yeah.
Like it has similarities to that in a certain aspect, but done well.
Yeah.
Unlike Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah.
As much like Final Fantasy VIII.
Something that I always talk about, where we play card games together, something I always talk about is the land problem in Magic. The MP problem is like kind of the RPG one. Of how can we play around with the idea of casting spells?
Yes.
And this game, in my opinion, tackled it perfectly.
It's
I thought
a very
it was
top tier
awesome
choice.
So how it works in the game is as you do your normal attacks, you build up your magic grid.
It's your stamina meter.
Yeah, so when you deplete your stamina meter, you gain your magic grid. So your attacks have to hit, though.
So at the beginning...
there's a stamina, and there's a grid.
Yeah.
Well, and the grid bar.
Yeah.
So, sorry about that, yeah. So there's the element grid bar, as well as your stamina. So as you do physical attacks, you use your stamina.
A light, medium, and heavy attack.
Yeah.
Which all have percentages for hitting.
Yep,
Yeah.
You're level 1, you're level 2, and you're level 3 is what they call it. And they have the percentage of hitting. If you hit with a lower tier 1, your percentage goes up on your higher tier 1. So you can do like a level 1 attack, level 2 attack, level 3 attack. Pretty regularly.
Yeah.
My regular was like a 2-3-2 attack.
Yeah.
Until I got later in the game where I had stuff that increases my percentages.
Yeah.
And so as you do that, you raise up your element bar by doing physical attacks, which lets you do certain levels of spells.
Yeah.
So like if you hit once, you could do your level 1 bar stuff.
Yeah.
And so everything you do, so every time like it resets, you get 7 stamina.
Yeah.
Which you could either use for the physical attacks, so level 1, 2, and 3 will cause that much stamina respectively.
Or you could use a magic attack, which takes up exactly 7 stamina.
It takes up 7 regardless of how much stamina you have.
And it will put you into negative.
Yes,
so
which
that
means
character,
won't be able to act for several turns.
Yeah. And that was awesome. Like it was interesting. Like,
it's fairly simple.
Yeah.
But deep enough where it does enough for it.
Yeah.
And I really dug it where it's like, cool, you want to do that bigger thing. One cool thing about the element grid too is if you have a high tier element, you can put it in any point in the grid, it'll become either weaker or stronger depending where it is.
Yeah.
So if you have a fireball spell and it's a level 1 fireball spell, you could put it into a level 7 slot and do a level 7 power fireball.
Yeah. I mean,
or vice versa.
Yeah. That was something that a main spell that I used through the game is it was this high tier white spell called Magic Seal. Or
Photon?
No, the Magic Circle, I think it was.
Sure.
I forget the exact name of it, but the thing is, like, it was this AoE attack that did a lot of damage. It was a high tier spell, and then I put it in the 7th slot, so it was doing even more damage.
Nice.
And I put it on my boy Starkey, a little alien.
Yeah.
And
look at all that. Like, there's a lot of really cool character design in it, and like I really Starkey is one that I'm like, as I kept playing, I'm like, I like this guy. This guy's cool.
Oh yeah,
he's cool, buddy. He's
my
buddy.
Yeah, we'll get into Starkey in a second. But to finish up the battle, like, the other big aspect about it that we kind of talked over, or that we kind of talked past, is the element grid, or the element area.
Yeah.
So there's
field.
like,
so say you cast a fireball, right?
Yeah.
So then there's 3 circles basically, and so you cast fireball. The center circle is filled with red element, which is fire.
Yeah.
Generally, then you go turn 2. You cast another red spell.
Yeah.
And then that element will be stronger because there's 2 circles of the red.
Yeah.
Already there, so your power is increased by how much element is already in the area.
Yeah.
There's certain attacks that will completely wash out that one of color. So, like, say that you have a character that has white aura, or turn yellow. That's what it was.
Or yellow field, I think it's
yellow
called.
field. That's what it was. Thank you. So if you have a character with yellow field, you could yellow it out, and then do a yellow spell or summon.
Yeah.
Also, if you're innate to that color, you're stronger.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're stronger when that's going on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But the elements have weaknesses against each other. So red is weak to blue, blue is weak to red.
Yep.
Green is weak to yellow, yellow is weak to green.
Yep.
Black is weak to white, white is weak to black.
Yep. And it's like, that's very straightforward. It's not like a billion different things.
Yeah.
I really liked it. It was.
Yeah.
That's one thing I really liked about the system is it's very unique, but it's also very clear cut.
Yeah.
Like, this is what it is. It doesn't explain it very well sometimes, but once you get it, you're like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, it did make some fights tougher. Like, I still remember there was the Black Dragon fight, which was quite a... Because for me, I was using Starkey, and Black Dragon was able... Because Starkey's innate white, he took extra damage from an innate black. So he was dying really fast in just that fight.
Yeah. I tried to do a spread where, like, I didn't have more than one of an element at a time kind of thing. Mostly because it's just cool. Well, some characters are going to have a harder time, but, like, I have the revives. I'm fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Zero issues with that. Thank you.
Yeah. And then another thing to mention about the battle system is if you have any element grid left when you finish the fight, you can use the healing spells that you haven't used and just heal your party.
Right.
And that's a really cool system, but it completely invalidates healing items.
You don't need to heal. I barely use any of my healing stuff.
Yeah, I remember literally just in case I get like screwed over, I literally maxed out on each healing item because they're super cheap. You could get 99 of them by like
pretty pointless
a quarter through the game. Yeah, money's like basically pointless.
Basically.
But that happens in a lot of old school RPGs.
That happens in a lot of RPGs in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's very few of them where it's like, cool, money is actually a necessity, and it's... One thing I enjoyed is it's like, cool, money's not heavily a necessity, but there's also not like a secondary currency like some games where you're like, cool, this is bullshit.
Yeah. But yeah, getting all the elements was fun. Customizing each character was a blast.
I really enjoyed the fact that each character had 3 unique moves to them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the level 3, the level 5, and the level 7.
That's one thing I really liked about this game was that all the animations for the magic and stuff was really cool. And then everyone had their unique animations for their attacks. That was really cool. And then there's some characters who have dual attacks where they attack together. That was great.
So you guys didn't have too many of that, but I had Glenn in my game where if you have the main character have his level 3 and Glenn have his level 3, they do their level 3s together, and it's a very early way of just doing a shit ton of damage.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so that's the basic combat system. I think the other big thing, the really, really big plus about this, and like we didn't really talk about music much in the last one. I think we're going to do a special episode about music in general in games and like what our favorite ones. But the soundtrack for this game is phenomenal. A lot of really good like somber music, a lot of other stuff. It's a great soundtrack.
Oh, sorry, I had to. But sorry for my singing voice. But yeah, you're right. There's the
yeah. What?
Like there was so many tracks that they just play, and you're just listening to it, and you're like, I'm gonna pause for a second.
Yeah.
I'm gonna listen to this. Like this is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I got a little tired.
Really
this is a
music.
Yeah.
I got tired of the battle music.
Yeah, I got tired of battle. That's
real hard.
That's a common RPG problem. Like it just.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's some of it that's like this is fine.
Yeah.
Very rarely am I like bothered by it after a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And this is not that long of an RPG in comparison to some other games. This is like whatever 25 to 35 hours.
Yeah.
Like other games are like way more.
Right.
I got real tired of this one real fast.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's good, but I want a little bit, like, I want to vary, like, if I'm in a different area or things like that. I didn't get much of that in this, and it was like, eh.
Especially if you're in an area with some really pretty music, and then it goes right into the battle music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
it
getting
completely
to that
interrupts the, like, progression of the other music, which is really, really good.
Uh-huh.
That's the thing.
And the worst part is there were parts of the game where there is a different music playing, and it bleeds into the it bleeds into the battles where it's still playing.
Yep.
And they do that really early on, and I thought that's how it was going to go through the entire game. But nope.
Big nope.
Nope. But yeah, that battle music got really tiring.
Yeah, it was not perfect, but I think overall it was a good experience to be able to play through the game. I think it did a lot of neat stuff.
Yeah.
I think even though I'm more negative on the game,
I
think it did a lot of really interesting stuff overall. I think there's a lot of development things that are really interesting to look into. There's tons of it online if you wanted to find out about that. We could do a special episode on that at some point.
Yeah.
But it's that is alone is a mess, and you really have to dig deep into the Chrono Trigger side of that to get more exposition on that side of it.
Yeah, because there was a lot of Chrono Trigger stuff.
Yeah, that's like literally where the entire like last quarter of the story lied.
Yeah.
And that's my big issue with it.
But I mean, one of the big things too is like how close it is to Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
In certain elements, but not.
Mm-hmm.
But like the thing is like if you look at Chrono Trigger, find me somebody who doesn't think it's one of the best games ever made, right?
Yeah.
Straight up. And how well refined and how good that game is. Like, find me negatives because it's very minimal if there is.
Yeah.
And then you look at this game and it's just like, cool. You did a lot of revolutionary cool things that like, if you had a little bit more time or if you did it a little bit differently, you would have done it. Because one of the biggest things that was missing is a proper message. I feel like. Yeah. And the theme, which the creator of the game didn't want to have one of those in mind when doing this. And I'm just like. But why? Like, it just unifies your experience better, in my opinion. So.
Yeah, that was kind of weird about how the director, like, specifically avoided a point, almost. Yeah. Like, it's...
And like, the exposition up at the end where it's like, cool, you have this, like, little line that, like, supposed to summarize the thing.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. Like,
it didn't work.
It didn't work. It should have done something about, like, self-reflection or Yeah. It's because it's a journey of, like, Serge finding himself, being comfortable with himself and, like, being, like, he's the chosen one or whatever, but like it was a good experience into that, and it just didn't do that well. It didn't drive it home. Most of the characters for me felt really flat. I don't know. I think there's good underlying things, and like I think in a similar way to Wind Waker, for me it was a fun adventure. Yeah. Like I had a good time exploring the world, seeing stuff and traveling around and like getting stuff. Yeah. But like unlike Wind Waker, the rest of the things just kind of fell flat for me.
Yeah, like it's very visually. The big thing about the game for me was that it was very visually beautiful, and there were a lot of scenarios and places that I was like, "This is awesome!" Like Hydra Marshes stands out, Chronopolis stands out, Dead Sea stands out. Even Mount Pyre was pretty cool, and a lot of the interactions between the characters was still.
I would
fun.
say that the Tetra Tower, whatever it was called, when that opening cinematic of that coming out, I'm like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah. Oh, Viper Mansion was really cool too.
Viper Mansion was.
I got really tired of the basement and wells of it, but and the sewer system, but everything else about it was really cool.
I had a very fun time. I think it was a very well designed dungeon. Or area or whatever. Yeah.
I really liked the world. I really liked the music. The world was really interesting too because there was a bit of like classism going on. There's like racism. Yeah, there's things they touched on but didn't dive deep into.
There's a lot of great multi-level like things to talk about.
Yeah, it really feels weird because it feels like there was a designer who's like, I don't care what he thinks, I'm putting themes into this.
Yeah, there were times
it was just this close. It missed it by so much. Yeah, and it was just like, this is so cool.
Like there's a place where you go to as Serge, and a dude's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" and throws a rock at your face.
Because the humans, because it's a town of demi-humans.
Yeah,
I was like, "What? Excuse me, rude."
I know. I was
dude.
Like, "Ow, okay." Who do you think you are? And then everyone else was like, "Hey, it's cool that you're here, but you don't need to stay long."
Yeah,
he was really the only one with the problem.
Get off my lawn!
All right, but before we move into like our final review scores, whatever, your 2 favorite characters. Like I got my 2 lined up.
I really like Guile. He has this move where he's floating the entire game.
Really?
Yeah, like Magus does.
Oh my, cool. Yeah, he is a lot like Magus, isn't he?
And he's got a cane, right? Well, his second unique move is he shrinks the cane like a magician, and then teleports it into the bad guy's stomach, and then it explodes and like just pokes out their gut, and they're like, ugh, and then they just take so much damage. It's ridiculous. Hilarious. I loved using him. He was so much fun.
I think for me, one of my favorite guys to play as is Fargo.
Yeah.
Pirate man stealing stuff with the mustache boy, and I really enjoyed playing as him.
Yeah.
I think his story plot is actually fairly well like rounded out.
Yeah.
Like he actually has a story in the story.
Yeah.
Which is cool. So I liked him a lot. I think Radius's stuff was really interesting, and then just Darky's a good boy.
Yeah.
Hold on. Before we get any further, Fungi is the worst.
Yeah. Oh,
number one worst character.
Like, joking aside, objectively the worst character.
He terrifies me. He's on the level of like Furby hate for me.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me uncomfortable. I don't like it. I don't want it around me.
Yeah. Like, so earlier I mentioned how much I like Pip, and I do really love Pip. But for me, like, number one is my girl Harley. Like, hard waifu material. I love her. And the funny thing is, I thought her whole big plot twist was that she was like a clone of Kid or something. And like, she has all these story implications. She speaks in this cute like French accent. And you could even get this like really silly scene between her and Starkey.
Yeah.
But then she just disappears halfway through the game, and you just don't get to use her anymore, and it's really sad. But other than that, Starkey.
Yeah, Starkey's awesome.
Only because he was so far removed from everything else in the game. He's just this alien.
It made me love him.
Yeah, and absolutely. He's the best. He has the best dialogue. He's really cute. He's really funny. He has like a little laser gun. Like, Starkey was amazing. Yeah.
I agree. I think.
And his specials were that he just summons a robot to just flow the shit out of whatever you're fighting, which was the funniest. His level 7 is like outright. It's just the robot just dive bombing straight into.
You want to die? You want to poke at this little like cute. He's got the cutest dialogue too, like the dialogue pattern, which is actually a really cool little tidbit. Is like how the dialogue works in the game, because they have the one script, and then they have a code that depending on what character's in the party, the dialogue will change for the character.
Yeah.
And we'll translate it into their accent.
Yeah.
So, like, the script is there, and it's how it gets read, but it'll get changed depending on who character's in it.
Yeah.
Not like it just changes the script by which character's in it.
There's a lot of accents in this.
There's a lot of accents. Sometimes it's really hard to read.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's quite a few of those.
Yeah. Especially Harley.
Harl is real.
She was, like, hardcore French or something.
Her and then Arenes, the mermaid chick.
Oh, yeah.
She had some hard, like, reads.
Yeah.
Those are the two, like, big ones for me, though, that were, like, hard
and
to
then
read.
The other character that I'm really sad that you guys missed out on was Glenn. Because I said earlier, like, I
really wanted him. When I saw his characters, I'm like,
I'm sure he was based on Glenn from Chrono Trigger.
Oh, I assume so. Oh, yeah. But the cool thing about Glenn is he's Dario's brother, and Dario in the story is like built up as like this crazy legendary knight, and he had the Einlanzer, I think it was.
Yeah.
And the cool thing I wanted to tell you guys about, and a little like this is really cool. So after you beat Dario, spoilers, and you get like all the ultimate stuff, and you get to you could equip him with the Einlanzer. Yeah. And he's, I think, the only character that can equip the Einlanzer. If you go to the other world, you could get the other Einlanzer, and he can dual wield, and it's awesome. It's so cool.
I was wondering if that's what you're doing.
He does just a little bit extra damage. Like, it's not very noticeable, but it's awesome.
That's such a cool, unique thing for a character that you can totally miss.
That you can 100% miss on a route that the game discourages you from doing.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It was weird.
Yeah.
So I think we should wrap it up a little bit.
Yeah, move on to our final scores.
Final thoughts.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a weird one because like
it was a weird.
There's
game.
a lot of things it does really well, like we said multiple times. There's a lot of well thought out things, a lot of things that were just stuck out, but there's a lot of just
like
kind of thoughts where just like I know what to rate this because it's just. You don't get a complete experience overall, I feel like. There's a lot of pieces missing. You have to know in-depth lore to, like, Chrono Trigger, I think, to get the full experience. And even then, you don't, because you have to also play some of the Radical Dreamer stuff, I think, to get some of it. Because we had to pull up a thing to, like, clarify some stuff for us.
Yeah, we had to read a lot of wiki pages just to understand
it. It was more of a just, like, because I finished it, I'm just like, I understand parts of this.
What was that?
Yeah.
What just happened?
So, like, it just doesn't get explained super well sometimes. And you have to, like, super read into the lore or things like that and other things to get everything.
Yeah.
So I got a fairly incomplete experience.
Yeah.
I felt like despite really good music, really good combat, I had a fun time overall, and like I enjoyed it. But I don't think I'm going to come back to it anytime soon.
Yeah.
My rating for this is Final Fantasy 15 out of Chrono Cross because it was a incomplete game.
Boo!
Boo!
That's what it felt like. It really did feel
Yeah.
like an incomplete game. So like
Clarification. I like Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
But it was incomplete.
I'm mad at your joke.
About that.
I'm mad at your joke,
Yeah.
but I do agree with you.
Yeah.
What were you going to say about...
Well, I think for my thoughts, like, yeah, similar things. It's just the game just feels unfinished. Even looking at the character designs, they're really interesting, unique looking characters, and I just wish that they were fleshed out more than they are.
There's no unity.
Some characters you talk to have 2 lines of dialogue, and then they join your party.
Yeah.
And it's like, what? I don't even know who you are. We
Who
never
are you?
exchanged names. Why are you joining me?
Why are you a mushroom?
So like the world building was really interesting and it teased a bit, and the music was great. The visuals were beautiful.
Yeah.
And the colors
for the
were
time,
great.
they were...
Especially for the time.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
And if it didn't have any Chrono Trigger stuff, if they didn't deal with
It would
time,
have been a unique thing.
it would have been great.
It would have been a great, unique story.
Yeah.
I would have really liked it more. And I feel like it's shy of being a good game.
Yeah. For me, like, so I'm just gonna knock it down into like pros and cons, because like the pros of it is that it has a really good battle system. It has a very interesting battle system. The RPG elements are a lot of fun. They're very interesting. They can be a little confusing at times, but they're fine. There's a lot of really great characters. Like I said, I loved Harley, Starkey. Like, these are character designs that are probably going to sit with me for a while, and I think about them a lot. But the cons are, one, the game takes so long, and there's so much stuff that didn't really need to be there. There's a lot of fat in this game that you don't have to do, and then there's a lot of fat in this game that you have to do, but the game doesn't tell you should.
Right.
Like, the whole experience is confusing, and there's so much that you can miss out on by just by playing the game, really.
Like, you can miss out a huge chunk of things. It's just like, oh, I don't have the right character in my party.
Yeah.
Or things like that. Like, I feel like when you turn into Lynx, you have the option, like, you can not have Radius in your party. And
yeah.
There's some really, really good lore bits in there. And,
yeah.
like, if you don't have them in your party at that point, you just miss out on that, like, really cool, like, stuff that I'm like, cool, this is really neat.
Yeah. That's the thing, is, like, the game was so dictated. The game is so reliant on the characters, and it's both its greatest strength and its greatest weakness, because because you only have 3 characters, and because you don't always get all these scenes, there's a lot you miss out on just by playing the game how you want to play it.
Yep.
And that's just, it's frustrating.
That was my experience.
Yeah. So, like, if I had to give this, like, a number score, I'd probably give it closer to, like, an 8 out of 10. Because, like, everything's really good about it. Like, the gameplay was great.
That high,
but for me, it's the story that really killed it. Like, it's... I called a friend, like, on my way here, and I literally said, I can't believe that the story is... In my opinion, it was good. It's so good up until literally 90% of the way through the game, where it just crashes and burns so hard that it kind of sullied everything else for me a little bit. Like,
I think if I give it an actual number score, not a Final Fantasy 15 out of Chrono Cross.
Yeah.
I would give it probably somewhere in the 5 range. Cause,
really?
Like, the things that it does for me, because, like, the story did very little for me. As much as I think Chrono Trigger is a good game, I just haven't played it anytime recently. So, like, maybe it didn't hit me as well. Maybe I will go back and be like, hey, this was actually better. The thing that really did well was the combat system and the soundtrack. And the story just fell flat real hard. The beginning bits were really cool, and I was actually intrigued with it. But, like, as it went, I'm just like, cool, I'm just disinterested. Yeah. And the biggest thing for me in any RPG is the story. If I'm spending 60 hours with something, if I'm spending however many hours with something, I want a story that actually engrosses me and gives me a reason to come back and play it. Yeah. Because otherwise, I would just go play another game.
Yeah. Because for me, I didn't really lose the story until you beat Fate, and that's the better part of until you beat Fate.
Yeah.
And that's the better part of the game, as all of us know.
I think if it ended there, it would have been more acceptable.
If it ended there, I'd probably give it a 9.
it would have been a significant margin better, but I still feel the same way about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yep. I mean, I'm not much of a number guy, but I
think
Final
Fantasy 15 is correct.
I think it's worth a play. It's worth playing and checking it out and seeing what it was.
You said revolutionary in terms of certain aspects.
I mean, that's mainly why I'm giving it an 8.
It does a lot of really unique things, and it changes up your
Yeah.
generic gameplay.
Yeah, I liked
tropes
it.
and RPG gameplay
Especially
mechanics.
Final
So
Fantasy
it's
one.
like, oh yeah, especially
Yeah.
It
coming
was
from
real
there.
basic.
Yeah.
But
It was a big jump.
I keep coming back to the characters and just wanting to know more about them and see them more involved. And that's my biggest gripe is that, you get teases of little really interesting stories here and there, really interesting character development points, but then they don't address anything. And
I think if they would have half the amount of characters, so there's a lot of just unnecessary characters.
Yeah, they really just
and
get rid
would
of
have just
half
like
the cast.
had parts that were like just filled out the other half of the characters. You would have been fine.
Like, honestly, I kind of want to, like, go to fan fiction and start, like, reading up on, like, what fans did with all of this, because it's just...
I don't need my eyeballs to bleed, thank you.
Hit me up with that Harley fan fiction. Sorry, I had to. I loved her so much. But
There's a website that I can point you to.
but, like, just the... Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right, Jack, where it kind of lived and died on its characters.
Yeah.
And there's some characters that are great, but they didn't do enough. And that's just the ultimate story of this game.
Because, like, who's playing Matcha? Let's face it.
Yeah.
No one's going to play Matcha. No one's going to play Turnip.
Yeah, no one's going to touch Turnip.
Or Van.
Yeah.
I didn't have the dog, so I couldn't get Turnip.
The dog was...
Yeah.
It's weird. Whatever. There's
a lot of unnecessary, and I'm just like, cool, that's what it is. And they didn't develop it further. If they would have developed further, I think there's a lot of neat things. I would have gotten a much higher score, but it wasn't.
Yeah. But that's just kind of our feelings on it. Like, it's...
That's about it. We're all varied greatly, I think. Like, me to the negative.
Yeah.
Tyler more towards the positive, I think.
Yeah.
And Jack kind of...
Middle ground.
Middle-ish, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel I'm slightly biased because I've been talking to a lot of people who really liked it. But But still, all of that being said, like, it's...
I'm glad
I still liked it.
Yeah.
Definitely glad I played it.
Like, I have to admit, I kind of want to do New Game Plus a little bit. Like,
you can have fun with that.
Yeah. I'm not going to, but I want to.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get some of your friends in who really like Chrono Cross, and we can have a
debate
episode.
Well, that'd be funny. Yeah.
Either way, I think that's about it for today, for this episode.
Yeah, so what's next on the... So we have a couple side quests coming at you.
Yeah, so we're calling the side episodes side quests. Basically, the premise is we're going to bring in somebody who's either experienced about something, or we'll ask them to come up with a topic, and we'll do kind of a reverse talk show, like talk about our thoughts and stuff about whatever the topic is.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of those coming at you. We'll keep those under wrap until they probably air, because that's how we roll.
But
the next episode
is
one of my favorite games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Tales of the Abyss.
Yeah.
Another game that has aesthetics in the vein of into this realization of who you are and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll be a really good counterpoint to having just played this, because I think it does what this wanted to do in terms of how the character develops as, like, being a character in its own skin and stuff, and those identities brought out, but actually done too well.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm excited to see us talk about it. I know I'm going to be in towards the positive side of this one because I've played it a bunch.
Well, it's my favorite Tales game, but I haven't even finished it.
Yeah. So. So I'm excited for you to finish it because you're the one who actually showed this one to me.
Yeah.
And Tyler, you've played a couple of Tales games, right?
No, this is my first time.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say it is my favorite Tales game because I haven't played any.
Okay. So this is one of the top tier ones in my book.
Okay. I hear a lot of good things about it.
Yeah, I personally love it to bits. I've played it so many times. I'm playing through it on unknown mode for this playthrough.
Yeah, I'm just going to do normal.
One of the bosses took me over an hour to beat.
Jesus.
For combat.
Yeah.
But what's fun, we'll talk about it next time.
Yeah.
Either way,
gonna do it.
Tales of the Abyss next time. This has been the Jrpg Book Club podcast.
Woo.
This is Bill.
Ty.
Jack.
Signing off.